Am I the a-hole for not coming clean about accidentally ruining my high school bully's life? Before we got to the story, I plan to give away 100 USD to whoever has the best opinion regarding this matter. So stay tuned, and I'll announce the winner in the few next videos. You only have to post your opinion on the comment below and consider to like and subscribe so that you'll not miss the announcement and many other future giveaway. Thanks, and back to the story. I, 28 years old male, have been carrying a secret for the past 10 years that's been eating me up inside, and I need some outside perspective. This is a long and complicated story, so bear with me. Back in high school, I was mercilessly bullied by a guy we'll call Jake. He made my life a living hell for 4 years. Physical abuse, emotional torment, you name it. He was the stereotypical jock bully, and I was the nerdy punching bag. It wasn't just occasional teasing or shoving in the hallways. Jake seemed to make it his personal mission to break me down every single day. He'd trip me in the cafeteria, sending my lunch tray flying and leaving me covered in food while everyone laughed. He'd corner me in the locker room after gym class, shoving me around and calling me every homophobic slur in the book. I'm not even gay, not that it should matter. He once locked me in a supply closet for hours, knowing I'm claustrophobic. Teachers either didn't notice or didn't care. His friends would cheer him on or join in. It was a nightmare. The worst part wasn't even the physical stuff. It was the constant fear, the dread I felt every morning knowing I'd have to face him. I developed anxiety and depression. My grades slipped. I lost friends because people were afraid of being associated with Jake's favorite target. I even contemplated suicide at my lowest points. Meanwhile, Jake was living the high school dream. Star quarterback, dating the head cheerleader, teachers looking the other way when he slacked off because he was bringing glory to the school on the football field. It seemed so unfair that he could treat people so terribly and still have everything handed to him. During our senior year, Jake got a full-ride football scholarship to a prestigious university. It was all he talked about, how he was going to be a big NFL star and leave our small town in the dust. He'd strut around school like he owned the place, bragging about his future success and reminding losers like me that we'd be stuck in this town forever while he was out living the high life. I was just counting down the days until I could escape to college and never see him again. I'd applied to schools as far away as possible, dreaming of a fresh start where nobody knew me as the bullied kid. A week before graduation, I was staying late at school working on a project in the computer lab. Jake had forgotten to log out of his school account on one of the computers. Out of curiosity, and I'll admit a desire for some petty revenge, I looked through his emails. What I found shocked me. Jake had been cheating his way through school for years. He had emails from a service that wrote papers for him, exchanges with other students about sharing test answers, even correspondence with someone who had taken his SATs for him. It was a goldmine of academic dishonesty. I sat there staring at the screen, a mix of emotions washing over me. Part of me was furious. Here was proof that not only was Jake a bully, but he was a cheater too. He didn't deserve that scholarship or the bright future ahead of him. Another part of me was scared. If Jake found out I'd seen this, he'd probably beat me to a pulp. I want to say I took the high road and just logged out. But I didn't. In a moment of anger and vindictiveness, I forwarded all the incriminating emails to the school administration, scholarship committee, and the university he was set to attend. I used an anonymous email account and then deleted it. I thought I'd feel better, but I just felt sick. The fallout was swift and severe. Jake's scholarship was revoked. The university rescinded his acceptance. Our high school stripped him of his athletics awards and nearly didn't let him graduate. His entire future, everything he'd been working towards, gone in an instant. The last week of school was chaos. Jake was devastated, alternating between rage and despair. He swore up and down that he'd been framed, that someone must have hacked his account. But the evidence was overwhelming. His parents were called in. There were meetings with lawyers. Jake's friends distanced themselves, not wanting to be associated with the scandal. I convinced myself that he deserved it, that it was karma for all the pain he'd caused me and others. I remembered every insult, every shove, every humiliation, and told myself this was justice. When I walked across the stage at graduation, it was with a sense of grim satisfaction, knowing that Jake's dreams had been shattered, just like he'd shattered my sense of safety and self-worth. For years, I went off to college and tried to put the whole thing behind me. I flourished in my new environment, making friends, excelling in my classes, and finally feeling like I could be myself without fear. I rarely thought about Jake or what I'd done, except occasionally when something would remind me of high school. Even then, I'd push the memories away, telling myself it was in the past. Fast forward to last month. I was back in my hometown for a visit. First time I'd been back for more than a day or two since leaving for college. I was getting coffee at the local cafe when I ran into Jake's younger sister, Amy. We had been friendly in high school. She was nothing like her brother and had always been kind to me. We got to talking, catching up on the years since graduation. Eventually, the conversation turned to Jake. I braced myself, expecting to hear that he'd somehow landed on his feet despite the scandal. What Amy told me instead left me reeling. Apparently, losing his scholarship sent Jake into a downward spiral. He fell into a deep depression, feeling like his entire identity and future had been ripped away. He started drinking heavily and using drugs to cope. He attempted community college for a while, but dropped out after a semester. He bounced from one dead-end job to another, unable to hold anything down for long. Things got worse from there. Jake's addiction escalated from alcohol and marijuana to harder drugs. He's been in and out of rehab several times, but nothing seems to stick. He's burned bridges with most of his old friends and has been arrested a few times for petty theft and drug possession. Currently, he's homeless, occasionally couch surfing with whoever will take him in, but mostly living on the streets. Amy spoke about how their family is at their wits' end. They've tried tough love, they've tried supporting him through rehab, they've tried everything they can think of to help Jake turn his life around. But he's a shell of his former self, consumed by addiction and the belief that he's a failure. What hit me hardest was when Amy mentioned that Jake has expressed remorse for how he treated people in high school. Apparently, losing everything made him realize what a terrible person he'd been. She said he talks sometimes about wanting to apologize to the kids he bullied, but he's too ashamed to face anyone from back then. I left that coffee shop in a daze, my mind reeling. I knew what I'd done was wrong, but I never imagined it would have such far-reaching consequences. I'd pictured Jake maybe struggling for a bit, but eventually landing on his feet, learning some humility along the way. I never thought he'd end up homeless and battling addiction. Now I'm torn. On one hand, Jake was a cruel bully who made my adolescence miserable. He was cheating his way through school and arguably didn't deserve that scholarship in the first place. Part of me still feels he brought this on himself. If he hadn't been cheating, my actions wouldn't have had any power to hurt him. On the other hand, I never meant to completely derail his life. Yes, he was a jerk, but did he really deserve to have his entire future destroyed? To end up homeless and battling addiction? If I hadn't sent those emails, he might have gone to college, grown up a bit, and become a better person. Maybe he would have found a way to make amends for his past behavior. I'm racked with guilt, but I'm also terrified of coming clean. If Jake or his family found out I was responsible, I don't know what they might do. Jake may be down and out now, but I still remember his violent tendencies from high school. And it's not just fear for my physical safety. I could lose my job, my reputation, everything I've built over the past decade if this came to light. So YouTube, am I the a-hole for not coming forward with the truth? Should I find a way to help Jake anonymously? Or should I just accept that this is the consequence of my actions and try to move on? I've considered a few options. Come clean to Jake and his family. This is the most terrifying option, but part of me feels like I owe them the truth. Maybe knowing the full story would help Jake find some closure, move forward, but it could also send him further into despair or provoke a violent reaction. Anonymously provide financial support. I could find a way to anonymously pay for a rehab program or provide some financial assistance to Jake's family. But would this really help, or just be a way to assuage my own guilt? Confess to someone else, like a therapist or a lawyer, to get professional advice on how to proceed. This feels safer, but I'm not sure it actually solves anything. Do nothing and try to move on. Part of me feels like dredging this up now would only cause more pain for everyone involved. Maybe the kindest thing is to let sleeping dogs lie. I keep going back and forth, unable to decide what the right thing to do is. I know I can't change the past, but I feel like I need to do something to address this. At the same time, I'm terrified of blowing up my own life in the process. Every time I think I've made a decision, I second-guess myself. If I come clean, am I just selfishly trying to relieve my own guilt at the expense of causing more pain to Jake and his family? If I don't come clean, am I a coward for not taking responsibility for my actions? I've barely slept since running into Amy. Keep having nightmares where I'm back in high school, but now I'm the one being bullied by everyone while Jake watches and laughs. I wake up in a cold sweat, the weight of my guilt pressing down on me. I know that what I did was wrong, even if Jake's actions were also wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right, and I stoop to his level or lower with what I did. I took away his chance to grow and mature past his high school bully phase. Who knows what kind of person he might have become if he'd had the chance to go to college and experience life beyond our small town. At the same time, I can't help but wonder if I'm overestimating the impact of my actions. Jake made his own choices after losing his scholarship. He chose to turn to drugs and alcohol. He chose to drop out of community college. He chose to burn bridges with friends and family. Can I really be held responsible for every bad decision he's made in the past decade? I'm hoping that by laying all this out and getting some outside perspectives, I'll be able to find a way forward. I know that no matter what I do, I'll have to find a way to forgive myself and move on. But right now, the guilt is eating me alive. So, Reddit, what's your verdict? Am I the asshole for not coming clean about my role in Jake's downfall? And regardless of your judgment, what do you think I should do now? I'm open to any and all advice. I just need to find a way to make this right, or at least as right as it can be after all this time.